Hey race fans, this is a replay, but to be able to watch live and hear from the drivers and see the pre and post race reaction, download and subscribe to the Trans Am app. Available on both Android and iOS, this is the only place to watch the 2021 season of Trans Am live, with over 10 hours of coverage each and every weekend. Live timing, results and news, as well as pre and post interviews, as our global live stream takes you to the heart of the action. To subscribe, download the Trans Am app or scan the QR code to be part of the fastest growing series in America. Subscriptions for the race weekend are just $9.99 and $59.99 for a full season. So come and join us for the 2021 season on the Trans Am app, the only way to see the races live and get your muscle car media. Green flag waves. And Boris said straight up the inside, but can he make it? He's going for it in the Poncho Weaver Dodge Challenger.
Oh, Adam Andretti spin on the front straight at the starters line. Let's see if we can get a camera crew. Got a really bad spin from Adam Andretti right on the starters line. He's turning it around.
Boris said side by side now with Tommy Dreese as they head over there, and Boris has got the lead. Boris has the lead as they head down the hill for the first time.
Justin Marks over Ernie.
Ernie Francis Jr. loses a place, but Boris said now leads this TA race here with 1 hour and 14 minutes to go. And as you say, Adam Andretti spinning on the front straight, but he's got it under power again in the all-blue John Andretti Memorial car.
Now look for that 99 of Justin Marks, the Coca-Cola Corvette, to get past Tommy Dreese. Justin Marks may be the most talented in the field into these conditions.
Yeah,
look
he's
at that.
showing it.
He goes by like it's dry.
Yeah,
but he might be too deep. I'm not sure.
Oh, he's just held it together.
I just hit the brake pedal with my foot, Jonathan.
I could see that. Tommy Dreese hanging on in there, and right at the moment, Ernie Francis Jr. trying to get past him. We're on board with Dreese as he goes through the gearbox, and past him goes Ernie Francis Jr. Conditions absolutely atrocious, really hard to get any kind of vision out there. The windscreen wipers trying to do their job, as Boris said. Setting the pace here as Justin Marks goes in pursuit, down to the bottom of 10. Got to be very careful. Oh, big smash! Out goes the 22. Stephen Davison in the Aston Martin. No way to treat the British mark.
That was a hard hit. Just heard safety car, full course yellow. Ooh.
So we're
going to have to restart this thing.
Effectively, yep. And Tommy might be pleased on that one because he lost, what, 3 places at the start of this one. Boris said on great form, and Justin Marks likewise following him through. But that was a big off for Stephen Davidson, our former GT champion.
Look at Simon Gregg there. Nice job. David Pinteric. Oscar Turan, watch for him. You know, he's from Panama. He's done a lot of racing in Panama, and I know it rains quite a bit there.
And he's coming off a win at the Charlotte Roval last weekend. We have a Pro-Am series now, and they raced at Charlotte last week.
Look at that. Mark Brumman clicked off 2 spots in that first lap.
Yep. Brumman in 14th place overall, and as you say, fighting in the GT classes. So back on board with Chris Dyson, and at least now all the drivers are aware exactly of just how the conditions are in race conditions, because the warm-up lap sometimes belies just how much grip you're gonna get. And I think now at least they've had a chance now to see what it's gonna be like. Let's take a look at what happened. There you go. Ooh, Davison just, I don't know how he did that. He just suddenly veered left, didn't he?
Yeah, just got a little bit loose there at between 3 and 5. And that's, it's funny because Terry Irwood asked me to fly my drone this week right at that spot, because he's like, that's where people really tend to miss it, because, you know, it goes from down to up.
Yeah.
Your car gets really light.
I think he aquaplaned, to be honest. I think he put his foot on the gas and just aquaplaned off.
Yeah. Looks like Adam Andretti's got some wiper issues. If we get a close-up of his windshield wiper, it looks like it went upside down.
Well, at least he could come in and adjust that and go back out again.
Yeah, he wouldn't lose anything. So knowing Adam, he's just going to come in. And right now, look at that. So Ernie took the spot from Tommy. So Tommy's dropped from 1st to 4th with his teammate Simon Gregg right behind him. And man, if you're looking right now, Boris doesn't have wipers. Justin Marks has 2 wipers. We're on board with Dreesy. Dreesy's doing the job. Dreesy's wipers are working, so he's getting visibility.
Why doesn't Boris have wipers?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm not seeing them. He might have some Rain-X or some kind of product on him, but I'm not seeing a wiper.
No, you're absolutely
right. Oh, there
right.
is a wiper.
There is a wiper.
He's
just not using it.
Because he's Boris said.
And no, he's also the lead dog.
Yeah.
The lead dog gets the best view.
He doesn't have the rooster tail that Justin's having to deal with.
If you're in the lead, you don't get the rooster tails. So there you go. He has got the wiper on the left-hand side, and look at Tommy's. He's got a pair of them there.
Yeah.
So, if you've just joined us, we had a very wet start to the race here, and we had a massive downpour before this race pre-gridded, and we weren't exactly sure. And Adam Andretti has just pulled in the number 43 into the pit lane, and he's either going to get his wipers adjusted or it could be game over. We'll keep an eye on that as he dives into the pit lane. I can see Tony Garcia sprinting down there as we speak, and yeah, the first thing they touched was the wipers. So for whatever reason, in that spin, the wipers probably got hurled forward just by the acceleration and spinning, and therefore, hopefully, that's the only problem he's dealing with. Very slow indeed as they head down the hill past the incident, and you can see Stephen Davison's car, excuse me, still stuck in the wall, and it's going to take some time and several laps, I would have thought, to get that. The clock continues to tick down. 3 of 40, but we also played at the clock. That's how it works. It's basically a 100-mile sprint race, and away goes Andretti, I think.
Sticks. See that?
Yeah.
So they might even give him one of those sticks with a towel on it, just for visibility. So hard to see, but that's a beautiful car.
Yeah, it is. And just in case you were wondering, that color scheme is to honor his brother, John, of course, who passed away last year.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jonathan. I think he just, looking at the puddles there, I bet he just hydroplaned across.
Yeah. So,
the first car right there, Mark Brummond, coming up to our pole sitter in SGT, Mike Phillips. I really think Mark Brummond is going to be our SGT leader here in a little bit if he can hold it together. And then he's got those bright headlights.
Well, you know, we were talking about Adam Andretti's incident. Let's take a look at it from his point of view and see what actually happened. Here's the start of the race. Watch for the blue car in the distance there. And as they come onto the front straight, there's Andretti. And look, he just puts the power down, gets sideways, and then he's in a mist ball, quite literally, and he'll pop out of there. And in that incident, obviously the wipers got thrown forward.
I don't know if that was power down or if he got right behind Masood thinking he was going to go, and he had to slam on the brakes.
Yeah, good point.
Because if you put steering input into the car and you slam on the brakes in these conditions, that thing will just whip out from you.
What an opportunity for Justin Marks here.
Looks like seeing the great safety vehicles and implements. So the farming implements have gone on the track, which means we need some wall repair.
Which means, therefore, I'm expecting a black flag fairly quickly. Also, I noticed that the brushes are out already on turn 12, so they're trying to dissipate some of the water. They'll probably do the same again at 10. And if we do get an all-course black flag, that will mean that all the cars will come into the pit lane. And
well, I'm going to go down to pit lane, Jonathan.
Why
see
don't
what
you
I can
do
find
that?
out.
Go for it. Ben Sissel will head down there because we've got all sorts of drama here. I can see tractors with brushes on the front straight trying to throw the water off the track, and they're doing a good job of it. But there is so much water down, it could take hours before it's complete. But the Road Atlanta staff are used to these sorts of conditions. Georgia is well known, especially this part of Georgia, for heavy weather. We had heavy weather and tornadoes here on Thursday. Same again last night and today. And as you can see, just 4 laps gone, and it looks as though we're going to be in that black flag situation as all the cars come to a little halt for the while we clear up Stephen Davison's incident. And the reason why we've got the black flag, not just because Davison has stopped, but also he hit the wall, and we're going to have to make repairs to that wall to make sure that it is safe. Ben Sissel is going across to see the latest. Also Andretti coming back into the pits in the distance there, and that could be the end of it. And I can see Tony Garcia heading towards him, so we'll find out very quickly just what the situation is with him. But now, as you can see, Dreesy and the rest of the field all stopped on track. Tommy's turned the engine off. Might attempt to see if I can have another word with Tommy. Tommy, this is Johnny in commentary. Tommy, this is Johnny in commentary. Tell us how the conditions were for that first lap.
Tell us how the conditions were for that first lap. Are you talking to me,
Yeah,
guys?
talking to you, Tommy Dreesy.
Yeah, talking to you, Tommy Greasy.
Hey, yeah, you know what? I had a plan. If those guys were really hungry to get going first, I said, okay, I'll just lag back. And but I had way more grip than I thought I would. So it's not too bad. It's a little sketchy in some areas, especially going down the hill. You know, when Boris got by me, man, he almost lost it 3-4 times. So hats off to him for keeping it together. Justin Marks is always good in the rain, and little Ernie don't like to be behind. So you know what? I'm gonna play the rabbit now. I'm gonna chase the rabbits. Yeah, but I think we'll be there in the end for sure, as long as I don't make any mistakes. And you know, I take the right lines here and get used to this car. But man, it's sketchy out there. But at the same time, these cars are working pretty good. The Pirelli reins are working pretty good, and so here we are now.
If conditions improve, do you think yourself or anybody else might come in and swap to slick tires?
You know, I think my eyes caught like a 1-foot dry line, and I got excited about it. So you know, it's all in the engine. It's all in the strategy, because you know, what's the delta to come in? You got what? If you come in, change tires, that's going to be 30-40 seconds. You know, if it happens early enough, and then you're 5 seconds a lap faster, and you know, that's 8 laps to catch everybody again. So you know, it is possible as long as it's earlier in the race. I think at the end of the race, you're going to lose too much time.
Tommy, turn your ring
Great
lights
intel, Tommy. We'll let you get back to concentrating and talking to your engineer. Best of luck, mate, and keep it going. Chase that hair.
Keep it going. Chase that hair.
Thank you very much, everybody.
So it doesn't get any better than that. We get to hear the inside. And actually, it sounds as though the conditions aren't as bad as he thought. Got more grip than he expected. Now, we saw the reason we're stopped, of course, is because Stephen Davidson, and we're not sure what caused it, but he suddenly veered left. And it's either a case of braking. Now, look to the back of the shot here, and watch there. His Aston Martin just suddenly veers to the left, and that is where most of the heavy water. So he either aquaplaned or was on the accelerator or brake, either one, and it just caused him to hit that wall very heavily, and obviously you can see the damage for yourself, and that's why we're under delay at the moment. Davidson and that Aston Martin out for this race. And all the cars now lined up. We call this a black flag situation, which means that all cars have to stop on track or in the pre-grid, and Adam Andretti is the only car not in that line, and he is in his pit lane box effectively and not losing any time because of it, and so therefore he may be still okay. Here's the onboard shot of Ken Thwaites. Ken Thwaites coming into TA for the first time this season, having won the XGT championship last year. Now, obviously, the procedure is going to be interesting. We'll see if Ben can get the latest on what's actually going to happen in terms of procedure, because obviously now it's up to the stewards. You can see that they're getting rid of Davidson's car. Those tractors in the background are really impressive. Big John Deere tractors with the brushes on the front, but also vacuums on the back, effectively brushing and pushing air and water off the track. So that makes a big difference. And as we take a look at Chris Dyson's car, we can go down to Ben Sissel. He is with Tommy Dreesy's crew chief.
He needs to just hold back and see what happens, because he says there's a lot of water on the track right now.
Now you guys, the Burton Racing team, you did really well last year. The year before with Lawrence and Tommy first and second, last year first and second. So you have this place on lock, but what's your strategy in so much wet?
We're just gonna follow these guys and see what happens, you know, because there's a lot of water on the track, and Ernie's pretty quick, so we're gonna use him as a rabbit to pass to other guys and get up front.
Nice.
So we're just gonna ride for now.
Nice. He said along for the ride for now. Oh, I want to get Bob Ruman, but we got to send it back up to Johnny. I'm sorry, Bob. Okay, no problem. But Jonathan, back up to you. Sorry about that. Are you okay?
Yeah, good insight there, and just confirming the Burton strategy, if you will. Tommy Dreese, the wise head, basically choosing to see how this all pans out. No need to change the world in the first few laps. That's why he's lost a couple of places, and they've decided now that Ernie Francis is going to be the rabbit for them. They know he's good in the wet. They know that he can judge the conditions as well as anybody else, and therefore Tommy Dreese choosing just to follow Ernie Francis Jr. when we get to the restart of this. There's the view from David Pintaric, and we talked about the fact that the one side is fogged up. That won't bother him. He can see clearly because the wiper he has is on his side only, the driver's side only. So our camera may not get as good a view as David does, at least, but that's the important thing. He needs that view. And also you can watch his hands on the wheel, and that is something to do. Watch when you see the onboard shots in this race, watch how the hands are working and how they are fighting the oversteer and understeer quite literally on every corner, because with these wet conditions they really do have to put the work in. So it looks as though we're getting to the point where this situation is alleviated, and the tractor will now come by, get rid of the grass and dirt. That's way offline though, so that shouldn't be an issue. And as you can see, they're using these poles with the
That's us.
with a little bit of a towel on, and that helps do the job, getting a nice illustration of how that works. Boris said, because he's in the front, has not used his wipers yet, but he may have to. Conditions actually improving as the minutes tick on, and another on board with Simon Gregg here. Simon Gregg, one of the most experienced drivers we have in Trans Am. But to be honest, I think a lot of the drivers really do revel in these conditions, because it really is a bit of a lottery, and you've got to have that deft touch with both your foot and your steering wheel, because you are all hands to the pump, as it were. The body will be exhausted after a day like this of 100 miles of adjusting to these conditions at every and each corner there is on the track. So conditions, at least on the ambient, are getting better. The track, I would say, is not any different than it was a few laps ago. As you can see, still a lot of sitting water in the background there at turn 11. Here at 5, still a lot of sitting water, and the water still running down the hill. And that's the thing with Road Atlanta, is you could sit out there in the John Deere all day and it still would keep coming down in terms of getting that water dissipated. But we're not far away now from having the track clear, at least. And they'll be just checking that wall, but never an easy time for a driver, having got the adrenaline going and got into the excitement of it all, to calm it all down and get ready to go again. But it does give the engineers a chance to sort of effectively, as you heard there, put a strategy together given the conditions. First 2 laps, when they went out to effectively do that warm-up lap, gives them a chance to look at the conditions, but not really a chance to talk to the engineer and change strategy if they need it. And you heard what Tommy said about the delta, the time it takes to get into the pits and out again if you wanted to change to slick tires. I don't think many will do that. It's going to have to take a really good dry line for that to happen. And the beautifully painted Ken Thwaites' car, his first time in TA this season, having won the XGT championship in that lovely Audi R8, sponsored by the Franklin Apparel, his local Nashville store. And I don't think we're too far away from getting going again. And as you can see, the safety car now rolling, and that will be followed by Boris Said. So we're up and running again, and now everybody single file again behind the pace car, and we'll keep an eye on what happens with Adam Andretti as well, because Adam Andretti is in the pit lane in that all blue car. Off goes Pintaric in 57. Never miss that car, the Stars and Stripes, can you? To be honest, in these cars with cold tires, this is a very important lap too. You've got so much power, you're trying to get temperature into the tires, albeit they wet tires. They still need temperature, and it's got to be very careful out there that you don't push too hard on the gas to get temperature and then find yourself backwards. Very easy to do. On board with Tommy Dreese, you heard his plan. He's going to stick behind Ernie Francis Jr. and see how it all pans out. Justin Marks, definitely a rain specialist. The incident now cleared away. Stephen Davison's car gone. And the trucks will soon get off track as the cars are passed. But look for yourself. This is going to be a key point down at the bottom of the hill here, and also getting on the acceleration up out of 5 right here, because you have to accelerate here. And if you accelerate too quickly, the car can literally give you whiplash and spin into the barriers very quickly indeed. And then you're heading down this mini straight towards our main man, Ron, who did a brilliant job yesterday of camera work with Porsches flying at him. And he will be bringing them into 6, another key corner, because then there's a little blip on the throttle through 6, and then the key corner, I think, at Road Atlanta coming up after this corner, and that, of course, turn 7, because that's where you get the drive down for the long straight. But in these conditions, you've really got to be gentle. You don't want to put the power down too early, because that's an easy place to spin too. Here is that turn 7. So jump on the gas when you feel comfortable coming out of this corner. And then it's a long run down the hill. Lee Saunders there in the red and black. Lou Liotti just ahead of him. And look at Dyson all the way back with work to do. But Dyson, I think like Tommy, will be biding his time and knowing that there is a long way to go. We've only done 4 laps and there's over an hour to go in this one, and a lot can happen in that hour. I don't expect more rain. In fact, if anything, the clouds are lifting just slightly, and the wind is blowing the storm away from the track as we speak. And the forecast was that once this rain did dump, it wouldn't come back. It would literally brush through. And it's a storm that literally goes from New York all the way down to Louisiana. And we're right at the brunt of it here, just outside Atlanta. So a lot of people affected by this storm. But it is a storm, and it is a storm that is going in one direction only, and it's not sitting as some storms do. So we hope it will blow over, and if that's the case, the rest of the afternoon should, and I say should, be dry. Now we're going to do one more pace lap. The light's still on the Honda Civic. As Boris said, leads the field. Justin Marks in the number 99 Coca-Cola car, looking for a chance to get glory. But he knows he's up against the mighty Boris said. He's done NASCAR, he's done Indy, he's done everything, has Boris said. He's been a winner at Le Mans in the past. And we're expecting green next lap. And for now, though, it's a chance to test the conditions. Tommy Dreesy going about it again. I would love to talk to him again, but I think I should let him concentrate and do the job that he's there to do. And remember, we've got different classes out there. If you're new to Trans Am, look to the top left, looking as we do, there top right at each corner, and you'll be able to tell the category they're in. TA, there you see it with Chris Dyson. That indicates that it's the Trans Am class. Then there is SGT, which is the Super GT class, and the XGT class. XGT coming in last year, and then the regular GT class. So we've got several classes of racing out there, and that's another reason why that makes it very interesting. You can see that sitting water has not gone away, has it? Unbelievable. This is a crucial corner, because you get on the gas just out of here and go back uphill. The breathless team of Ernie Francis Jr. say thumbs up for now, but you can see the way they're pacing, they are nervous.
Well, Jonathan, I was just down there talking to a lot of the teams, and I can't tell you who because of strategy. We know the teams are listening to this broadcast, but one of our big teams is looking to make a change to the slicks in just a few laps.
Well, I asked Tommy about that. He was saying that it's possible, but he was worried about the time you would lose and how quickly you would get a drying line. But he did say that he was surprised about how much grip he was getting out there.
Putting on my race control earpiece so I can hear what's going on in the race. What an interesting race.
Yeah, already. I mean, I know it's a slow race at the moment, but the strategy and what they're about, very interesting indeed.
I don't know if there are more difficult road racing cars to drive in the rain than our TA class.
Yeah, I agree. But like I said, even on these pace laps now, or these warm-up laps now, it's very easy while you're warming the tires up to just put too much gas down and spin right round.
Yeah, I did speak to Adam Andretti, and he's having engine issues, and it's firing and then not firing. And he said, like you said, he just got on the gas and all of a sudden it just fired really hard and he spun around.
Okay, so there you go.
Look at that. Looks like they're taking some pressure maybe out of the reins. Maybe they're going to change to some lower pressure. I'm not sure. Maybe higher pressure reins.
And as you can see, the lights on the safety car are now out, which means that Boris Said controls the race and he will decide when they go. And this could be the most important part of this race. With exactly an hour to go, 5 laps down of the 40, we're ready for our sprint race to get going. And Boris Said, the most experienced man in the field probably, is about to lead them away as they head up the hill now and under the bridge. And when they do, the safety car will peel off. It does so. Okay. Boris Said now will lead them down to the restart of this race. An hour to go. Green. And away they go. And Justin Marks has got a great start in second place. He'll now try around the outside of Boris Said, but Boris will, I'm sure, cover him off, and he does so in the Dodge Challenger. Sparks flying here in the fully loaded and fully fueled car. No dramas right at the start of this one, which is good, but you can see the conditions haven't improved greatly, have they?
Yeah, it's not raining anymore. It's not actively raining, but the track is still what I would call wet.
Oh, I would say it's very wet. It's like an ice rink out there.
Yeah, we just saw them on the, there's a little bit of a sealer there at that turn, and it gets really slippery. So look for Mark Brummond. He's now mixed it up there with the TA cars. He takes the inside of Masood. Yeah, so look for that green BMW as we see Dyson go by Grant in that Porsche.
Yeah, Dyson now behind Saunders, and here comes Ernie Francis Jr. on Justin Marks at 6. Nicely done by our 7-time champion. Marks will come back at him, but it looks as though Francis has got the line, and he does. Francis now in pursuit of Boris Said. The 3 of them now going down the back straight together. Marks gets good drive, and they're side by side again in second place.
I love seeing Ford, Chevy, Dodge go head-to-head like that in a battle.
Tommy Dreesy doing exactly what he said he would do, which is wait and pounce when he's ready, but you can see the conditions not really improving. But look at this, Ernie Francis Jr. is passed and clear into second place.
Hard on the brakes there. They all see the water.
Future Star Racing, for those not familiar with the colours. Ernie now part of the scholarship program that Tony Perella has set up. He's also racing in FR Regional single-seaters this weekend, and currently in second place behind Boris Said as they cross the line again. 58 minutes to go in these atrocious conditions, but most of these drivers really relish the chance and challenge of these very, very tough conditions.
And for all my Monday morning quarterbacks watching out there, yes, Boris Said is not doing the ultimate racing line. He's doing what he thinks is the wet line. He's looking for grip anywhere. So he's not hitting the apexes that you normally would, like in Forza or your Gran Turismo video games. He's hitting the line in the wet, kind of sometimes the counter line, because that's where the grip is.
God, it's tough out there, you can tell. I know we haven't got a clear view of Pitarek's view, but we see it here. It's really tough. And actually going back up the hill, this next corner coming up now, I think is a really tough one, because you want to get on the power, but you've got to be careful.
Yeah, and if you get out there in the paint on those curbs, that's just like hitting ice. Now look at this, Dyson and Ken Thwaites with Mark Brummond actually being able to put the power down in his SGT BMW.
Yeah, Chris Dyson's trying to follow Brummond through. And Dyson doing a really good job now of getting through this traffic and getting onto contention for this race. He's come through already from the back. He was 21st, but he's already made up several places as he dives into 6th.
As has Adam Andretti. Adam Andretti seems to be moving up pretty fast.
Well, let's hope that Andretti... Yeah, I mean, Andretti's been dealing with this mechanical gremlin, whatever it is, a misfire, I'm not sure, but he's been dealing with it as they come onto the main straight. We watch Dyson, but Boris Said under massive pressure now.
Justin Marks.
As Justin Marks spins it round.
Just after 10B there.
Yeah, and so again, that's just a power issue. He's got on the power early and spun it round, and now that's how easy it is to spin it round once you put the power down. So it's useful to get you righted, but it's not good when you do it for the first time. No. Under the bridge he comes, and he's back going again. So now look at this.
Crazy bad. Look at Ernie get a little bit sideways there at turn 3, just really trying to find grip, find power, give a steering input right there. They're on that sealer that makes it really slick. Just constantly changing conditions here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, offering us some great images.
Yeah, and you can see, no question about it, while Boris is staying smooth, Ernie Francis is really pushing it. And the pair of them pulling away now from 3rd place, Tommy Dreesy.
Ernie's just trying to stay in Boris's mirrors, make him look in his mirrors, and And Boris is doing everything he can just to hit his marks, hit that good optimal wet, dry line. And we're going to see. Now there's Oscar Turan there, Ernie's teammate. And there's David Pinteric. You can see he's still fogged up.
And finally, Justin Marks has recovered, and there he is in the background, coming into 6th now himself, but behind the number 59 of Simon Gregg. And there is Dyson, right behind Al Masood at the moment. So Dyson done a really good job of catching up quickly.
Yeah, right behind his teammate. And Dyson probably has more experience in the rain at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in a mixed group than anybody in the field. As we see Kerry Hitt's team, I don't know if they're trying to change that tire. Remember, we saw a shot that Tony gave us at the grid of just one tire, somebody checking pressure. So it looks like he might be having tire problems on his left rear tire. As
well, they're not changing the slicks. That's a wet weather tire.
Yeah.
There's Al Masood. There is the 20 plaid car of Chris Dyson, winner last time out at Sebring and the championship leader at the moment. That's where Mark spun at the exit of 10B. Critical conditions as they come down the hill and past our commentary
Andretti's
position.
faster than Dyson, though.
And he's coming up on Dyson. And at the front, continuing their battle, Ced and Francis Jr. But Adam Andretti, there he is in a really good battle with the number 20. Two of the most experienced TA drivers, and look at Andretti go! Oh, go
Chris
on.
has the advantage there, but now Adam has the advantage here over this curbing, but
Can't
gives it
quite
to
do
Chris.
it.
Yeah, I think he just gives it to him. It's early on in the race. We're at lap 9 of 40.
Yeah, they don't want to take each other out, and like I said, two very experienced drivers. They know how to deal with each other.
And good friends.
Yes.
That's Simon Gregg and that beautiful new number 59, which is actually his initials, we pointed out. I think that's really cool.
That's right, yeah, Simon Gregg. On board with Dyson now, and you can see as the rain has stopped, the conditions haven't really got much better, and I don't think we're going to get a drying line. I wouldn't have said anybody will come in and risk slick tires now. It's just not worth it.
Change for the lead if we can get a shot of that.
Ernie Francis Jr. takes the lead as they cross the line, and Boris Ced has got it all to do now. And back comes the Dodge Charger, the Poncho Weaver prepared car, and Boris has got it all to do. He was a bit miffed in qualifying. He felt that he needed some help from Dreesy, and Dreesy didn't give it, but I don't know why he would. And so now Boris has got some work to do, but look at Francis go, and in the matter of seconds and corners, he is pulled right away from Boris Ced.
And Boris did not have wipers on there, so after Ernie got by in that Techniques Dodge Challenger, he didn't have it. So Ernie right now looks to be the fastest as Boris struggles a little bit just to find any kind of grip he possibly can.
Well, I'll be interested to see what kind of time Ernie Francis does on this lap, because he really is putting the hammer down, as Andretti's still yet to pass Chris Dyson, and now they've got Al Masood in front of them. Back up the hill. This is where Andretti looked good last time. He tried to sneak up the inside because the next over the crest there, it's a right-hander, but Dyson not looking to give that position up.
Simon Gregg coming down the S's, and we're going to watch for Mark Brummond, who's coming up right behind him. You know, these TA cars can pull Brummond in that BMW down the long back stretch, but in these twisty bits, as they call it, Mark definitely has the advantage.
Yep, the S's, the infamous S's here at Road Atlanta. Into 6th they come. Still, Al Masood holding off the number 20 of Chris Dyson. Key corner here at 7. Got to get the power down. How does Andretti do it? Not bad. Let's take a look at some action before, and here is the overtake by Ernie Francis Jr. on Boris Ced. They come into 6, he comes alongside him at 7, and that is a classic overtake. Brilliantly done by Ernie Francis Jr.
We're now joined by Trans Am owner and total Trans Am enthusiast. You got to be Tony Pirelli. You got to be pretty happy about what you're seeing so far.
Oh my God! What a fantastic race these guys are warriors to battle in this stuff. Let's face it.
Here comes Andretti.
This, you know, the people don't realize how hard this is to do in the wet. You got a tire strategy that's going to come into play here before this race is over with. But these guys are the best of the best. You run this kind of horsepower and that light of frame in the wet, you got some real talent.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we were talking to Pancho Weaver at Charlotte just last weekend. These are 850 plus horsepower NASCAR Cup motors, but they weigh about 1,000 pounds less, have a little bit more downforce, and they have no driver aids as we know of. You know, they do have power steering, but there's no ABS, there's no brake controls. It's basically go-karts out there as we watch Chris Dyson pass his teammate Masood and almost set a pick for Andretti there, Jonathan.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a plan there, because if he can put one car between himself and Andretti, he gives himself a little bit of a respite, and that's what Masood is doing for him. He's not blocking Andretti, he's just getting as wide as he can. Andretti, though, should take advantage down this back straight, and hopefully by 10, Andretti will be past and be able to go back in pursuit of Chris Dyson. But good work by the teammates.
Look at how relaxed Chris Dyson looks at this driver images there. Tony, I know you race a lot of different cars, but would you be this relaxed in these conditions?
I'd be up on the wheel with both hands, that's for sure. He looked like he's out for a Sunday cruise.
Tony, I got to ask you while we got you in the booth, it's been a heck of a 2 years, but what I've been really impressed with is how the fraternity, your fraternity of SVRA and Trans Am, has stuck together, done the protocols, done what you've asked, gone racing safely, and here we are.
You know, John, it's amazing how much crossover we have between what used to be just SVRA and the Trans Am. If you look at this TA2 race that'll be coming up, several of those drivers were originally SVRA drivers, were exposed to TA2 and said, hey, I want to do that too. And it just makes for a fantastic show. The two complement. There's something here for everybody. And now with FR and F4 joining the ranks, our weekends are really going to be special.
It is, and it goes the other way. So we've got Mark Brummond out there in the BMW,
Sure.
but he also races an Alpha in SVRA with us.
Yeah, true.
Incredible.
So, we are 12 laps in, 49 minutes to go, a long way to go. If you've ever watched a Trans Am race, you know that that is an eternity, especially in these conditions. The conditions are getting better, but I don't believe there's going to be a dry line. I really don't believe there's really a risk of coming in and putting on dry tires, because it's just too wet right now.
It is, and we're looking at Lou Gelati right there coming up to Ken Twaits. Lou Gelati currently second place in SGT, followed by Lee Saunders and then Mike Phillips. So Mike Phillips, who was pole, is now dropped down to fourth. So Lou Gelati right now is figuring out this rain line, but I think Mark Brummond is just taken off from the other SGT drivers in that BMW.
Well, you did predict it, that's for sure, at the beginning of the day. Brummond 14th overall as we go back on board with Ken Thwaites. What a great story that is, Tony, to go be the XGT champion and then say, right, I think I'll go TA.
What's even crazier, we started out 3 years ago in our rookie driving school. I want to go racing in Savannah within SVRA. And here he is racing as aggressive of a race car as you can get in the road course.
There's hope for me yet.
He said he's really a good driver, and he's as good a driver, but he's also a really good human. He's fun to be around, and he's great for our sport. Just a guy having a phenomenal time, enjoying what he wants to do.
Yeah, living the dream, because he was I think a Pro Formula Mazda champion in the 80s, and then, he had to get a job, and life happens. And now that he's doing really well in his professional career, he's got time to come out here and go racing with us, and he's really showing us some talent. As we look now, Lou Gelati, it looks like Lee Saunders, if he can put the power down on that big Dodge Viper, is going to try to give Lou Gelati a run for his money.
And looking at the race times, Ernie Francis Jr.'s best time, a 132.3 compared to a 134.3 of Boris said. So no question about it, Ernie Francis Jr. is really pushing on here. Maybe he's in a hurry to get in his single-seater. Tony, how excited are you to see Ernie Francis Jr. in the wet in an all-new FR car?
Well, I have a special relationship with that kid. He needs to race on the biggest stage, whether it's open wheel or closed wheel. He needs to get the highest stage. And this year, what he's pulling off between SRX, Ray Everham, Tony Stewart series, what he's doing here today with Trans Am, and then an hour after the race, he'll be running in a Formula FR car.
Nuts.
The average person has no clue just how gifted he's got to be to change for that dramatic of two different race cars, and especially in a day like today. But I believe with all my heart the exposure that kid's going to get this year, somebody's going to finally see what we've been seeing. special, and he needs to get a shot.
And not only just as a driver, but his personality, he's everything you would want as a team owner, because he's always thinking about the championship, no unnecessary risk. He never loses his head. He's just the perfect, and he's a great-looking kid.
And you know the other element, he can talk the talk, and when it comes to engineering and wrenching on the car,
Yeah, he does it.
There's a lot of kids that have talent to drive, but they don't know one thing from another as far as setup.
No.
This kid's been wrenching on cars since he was a toddler, I think. So it's pretty special to see him get a shot.
Yeah, last year at Mid-Ohio, I caught him building, rebuilding, and adjusting his shocks and setting up his own geometry on his car, and you just don't see that very often.
No.
Tommy Dreesy now trying to get through the traffic. Don't forget,
Hey, there we are.
don't download the app. You can join us as they are doing here. Thumbs up from the Burton team, letting us know that they're watching the app too. So download it. You can do it for a weekend for $9.99, or you can do it for the full season. And we're excited to be able to offer that opportunity for you to join us here in this racing series.
Look at that. We were just talking about Ernie, and there he goes right through lap traffic at one of the most difficult parts of the track as he comes up to his friend Ken Twaits. Ken sees him, lets him go by. And now let's see if Boris can work his way through this SGT field on this backstretch.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's got a lot of cars to get past, but Boris is lost out. I think, I don't know whether he's just not comfortable in these conditions.
His wiper's
Ernie,
not working. You can see it in these conditions now.
He should be
being
using,
behind, he should be using his wipers.
We were joking earlier about the fact that he didn't need them because he was getting no rooster tails, but right now he's trying to stay out of the rooster tails. He's going to take one car, maybe.
Jeff Hinkle,
Yes.
another Poncho Weaver Dodge Challenger. And then there's Lou Gelati giving Boris room as they come up and get real light under that bridge, which is very scary.
Yep, and across the line they come, and now you see the gap that Ernie Francis Jr. has built up. Officially, it's 4.7 seconds now over this man, Boris Said, who you can't miss in the Dayglow yellow.
Yeah. Well, Tony, I know you're a busy man, and you've got a lot of irons in the fire here, but thanks for joining us in the booth.
Thanks for having me. You guys are doing a great job. Enjoy the rest of the race, and I'll see you down at the podium. Thanks
All right,
so
we'll
much.
see you down there. That's Tony Perella, of course, the man responsible for putting both the SVRA Trans Am and, of course, the brand new FR and F4 America's Championship on the track this weekend. And we're delighted to be racing at Road Atlanta. We're going to all the iconic circuits. That's the biggest thing for me, is to looking at the schedule, just how exciting the places that we go to. There is not one poor circuit of all the ones we're going to. Laguna Seca next, Sonoma also for the West Coast.
Yeah, we're hitting all the most iconic tracks in America, and also we're going up to Canada.
Oh, that's right. Yes, of course. Looking forward to that. And in comes
hit
the
again.
number 19.
Kerry must be having some tire issues. We didn't see him at Sebring, and now he's coming in again. I haven't heard anything from race control that would signal that he's under a black flag, so I'm not sure what he's coming in for.
Tommy Dreesy having a word.
Look at that.
Oh.
That's Dreesy off fire. Motor's blown, he said. Let's be quiet and see if we can hear him.
Tommy Dreesy out of this race. And as you can see, he'll want to get out of there fairly quickly if he can, but of course he's on one of the fastest parts of the circuit. Tommy, this is commentary. Are you okay?
Commentary, are you? I'm okay. Motor blew. Too bad. We were just buying our time. We were getting faster and faster. And I don't know what happened, but boy, that's part of the championship. A lot of cars here. A lot of cars here, and that's just devastating for the championship.
All right, Tommy, we'll leave you to it. Stay safe and talk to your engineer. Thanks for talking to us. Sorry about that.
So that's Tommy Dreesy just off driver's right before turn 9, our black flag station. He's off in a pretty safe area.
Yeah.
Cars shouldn't, they'll be able to see him. But with these conditions, I'm not sure what they're going to want to do. But right now, it looks like we're just under local yellow conditions there at turn 7 and 8.
Well, he's out of harm's way, so I don't expect it to get any worse or bring out a safety car anyway. But we'll see. Oh, instant. And look,
Look at how hard he was on the brakes. He saw it instantly. Way to get over, Tommy. We like that. He's not dropping any oil on the track. Gets over.
Very
Safe
smart.
place.
Very smart. Good driving by Tommy Treacy. What a shame. If it wasn't for bad luck, he wouldn't have any. Now, Boris Said has got a lot of work to do if he wants to catch Ernie Francis Jr. And I think he's going to hope that another caution comes out as Ernie weaves his way through the traffic right now. There is Boris Said in the Weaver Concepts all yellow number 2 Dodge Challenger. Always drives that car.
And you'll see a sponsor there for Boris Said and Pancho Weaver as we get the blue flags from the corner workers. Techniques, and they are the company that is actually building the 400 NASCAR chassis right now.
Yeah, that is
and
a really
all
good, hell of a concept.
by lasers and robotic welding. It's unbelievable. Pancho showed me a video, but they are building all of the 400 chassis that we're going to see in the NASCAR Cup Series.
It's not a bad deal to have.
2022. And expect, and it's the same implements that Pancho uses to build his car that Boris is in right now.
Well, Boris is a good guy to put some input into that too, because he's raced pretty much every car on the planet. So, 40 minutes to go. Still a long way to go in this, and I think there's going to be a twist in the tail for sure. The conditions brightening up, and now my prediction of a dry line is coming. I said my prediction that there wasn't going to be a dry line could actually come and change, because we're starting to see much brighter conditions, and we are starting to see a dry line.
Yeah, here at turn 12, right in front of our booth, there used to be a river going across, and now the optimal late apex race line that Ernie Francis is coming through right now is drying up. So I feel like Ernie's telling his team, hey, 5 more laps, I might be coming in, or Oscar may be coming in for some slicks.
Well, I wonder if Chris Dyson, maybe Oscar Turan will be thinking that too, because they're 5th and 6th at the moment as we look at Kerry Hitt. Rather forlorn look of his TA car.
Anytime that they take the hood off of these cars, you know, there aren't pit stops intended in the Trans Am Series. It's a 100-mile sprint race. And whenever they take the hood off and then stand back without anything to reach for, that usually means that's the end of the race for Kerry.
Yeah.
On board with Chris Dyson. Now look again at the bottom left. Look at how relaxed he is, his posture, his stance. He is determined to win this race as he comes up on these slower Cup cars.
Yeah, very relaxed competitor, isn't he, as he comes under the bridge.
That's Milton Grant in the number 55 Porsche Cup car there. It's great of Milton see him in his mirrors and let him go by as we see him almost full power there going through turn 12.
Well, very tough conditions to race in, no question about it. And it was always going to be that way. The prediction of the rain was right on time, to be honest. And so no surprise to see the conditions that we're getting, because everybody knew it was happening from even last night onwards. They predicted it at exactly 12 o'clock, and that's when it came. We stay with Chris Dyson, who started at the back, remember, and has had to plow his way through. He was helped by that black flag, I suppose.
He's doing well, though. He's
doing very well.
He's in 6th place, but I think he's down a lap, according to timing and scoring right now.
Well, that's a good point, yeah.
I'm not sure if that's official, because if he did have some transponder troubles yesterday in practice, so maybe his transponder's not working, and we do have an answer for that, which is somebody is just manually clicking off his laps to make sure he's on the correct lap.
Okay, fair enough. So Ernie Francis Jr. leads this race at the moment. He's got a good lead of 3.2 seconds over Boris Said. Justin Marks, who was in 2nd place in the Coca-Cola 99, has dropped down to 3rd after spinning at 10B. But he's back into contention for a podium. There's Boris Said, the man is 2nd place. And the gap to Boris Said and Justin Marks, some 20 seconds or so. So a lot of work to do for Marks. Pentarik still 4th, Oscar Turan in 5th. Will anybody come in for dry tyres? The conditions improving by the minute here. And in fact, on one side of the circuit, it's grey. The other side is brightening up dramatically. And I'm talking about towards the start finish.
All it takes, just like in Formula One, is somebody to come in and click off a faster time than they did in the wets.
Yeah.
And then everybody will come in like a train. If, you know, right now we're just at halfway through. So if there's still 10 laps left, it might be worth it. If not, it's not probably worth it because of the time it takes to change tires.
Conditions still not very easy, though, are they? As you can see how much water is down at 12.
So that's Boris said coming around Cary Grant into turn 1.
And if anything, Boris has got the hurry up again. The gap now 3.2 seconds between Ernie Francis Jr. and Boris.
You know, I can't ever remember Boris being with us in this new iteration of the TA series with Pancho Weaver in the wet. So he may not even know that there's a button he could push for the windshield wipers.
VIR last year?
Such like a, I can't remember.
VIR in the wet last year, maybe.
Can't remember he was there though. That might have been Andretti.
Good point.
I'm not sure.
My memory doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
Pintarek, we're on board as he goes down the main straight here. That is the second car you're looking at now. Pintarek just ahead of him.
Yeah. And Mike Phillips passed Lou Gelati there in the main straight.
Just behind, yep. Back with David Pintarek as he heads down. This is the most scary part of the track for me. Down this hill, it's just such a roller coaster. And in the wet, well, beggars belief. And it's a lot steeper than it looks, that. And then it dips right to the bottom and then starts to pull up right to the... There's Poncho. Poncho Weaver, the man who has got the NASCAR contract to build those brand new generation cars. Always looks so nervous at this stage of any race, and well he might. 35 minutes to go. Simon Gregg on board with him now.
Simon Gregg looks like he's coming up to Justin Marks just a little bit. Justin Marks, I still think that don't count Justin Marks out just yet. He's currently in 3rd place overall. And we know that he's really good in the rain.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to make an interesting afternoon as the conditions will improve, but how quickly we'll actually get to a dry situation coming up, of course. Soon we have the Formula cars, the youngsters out there on track. And this is going to be a real challenge for them too.
But I see sunshine to my left towards turn 1. It's gray skies, but to my right, where the weather is coming from, it looks like sunshine. We're going to get a dry line here. Now it's going to be who comes in first and who clicks off a better time.
Amy Ruman not having the best today. She's down in 17th position at the moment, and obviously that's not where she needs to be. Lee Saunders struggling also in 15th place. He's behind Gigliotti in 14th.
And I hope the Rumans don't mind me saying this, but I spoke to Amy at the grid, and she was a little shaken up because on her way to grid, I was going to try to get this at the pit lane there. Her dad, Bob, who is a Trans Am legend, been racing in the series, got hit by a passenger car in our paddock.
Oh, wow.
And so she didn't know how he was doing and was a little bit shaken. And,
yeah,
of course, he's okay, but, you know, pretty mad. You got to really watch where you're going in these paddocks.
Yeah.
And he was a pedestrian, so somebody hit him with their passenger car in the paddock, and she was kind of shaken up about it.
I can understand why. So, just trying to thread the needle through the traffic. On board with Ken Thwaites now. Thwaites has gone about this very smartly indeed, and not trying to change the world as he circulates. And
doing really well.
Yeah, doing really well.
In that Franklin Road Chevy Camaro TA, unbelievable that he's able to do this in this rain, because he's really good in his Audi in the rain, but I don't think you could be racing more different cars.
Well, it goes to what you said before. That's got all the tricks of the trade on it, and all the helpful hints that you can help in technology-wise, whereas these TA cars absolutely do not.
No, they don't. Chris Dyson still moving his way through, but right now I'm showing a 56-second differential to first place from Dyson. So Ernie Francis just has the power down, and you got to think, you know, coming up soon is going to be his FRA race, and his competitors have to be looking, thinking, wow, he's got a big advantage being out there for 40 laps, seeing what the track is like.
And Mark Brumman
Lou Gelati, Lee Saunders, Adam Andretti coming up around 5. Adam Andretti passing Lee Saunders there. Dodge versus Dodge. And Adam Andretti's doing pretty well to get through. Currently in 7th place And now something's going on with our timing and scoring. I said Chris Dyson has a 6-second differential. We've got a local yellow here on the main straight. Not sure what happened. I'm seeing a local yellow come out, but we're good. As Jonathan's going to step out of the booth real quick to check what's going on. Lap 24 of 40 here, and we're looking at Ernie Francis Jr. Boris Said now has closed the gap right behind him, and we're having some difficulties right now with timing and scoring and figuring out what's going on in Race Monitor. But here comes Ernie Francis Jr. coming down around turn 9 down the back stretch. That is John Bauckham right there in that black Mustang as we're trying to catch on board. Looks like Boris Said is closing the gap. And I don't know what Ernie is doing. He's not coming into the pit lane, so he's coming down and look for Boris Said to get by. The line is drying out. Ending up to be quite a race here, Jonathan.
I know,
this is down here.
This is exactly what I hope would happen. Boris has got a second wind, if you will, and he is all over the back now of Ernie Francis Jr. Now, both of these men know all about tyre wear in the wet. How about these wets? How long do they last, or do they tend to just stay constant?
Well, no, they wear out pretty fast as soon as it starts drying. So under these conditions, we might even start to see if the drivers have been told they're not switching, we might see them go out of their way to get some wet onto their tires just to cool them down, because if it dries, they don't have but maybe 10 good laps before they just turn into just tar almost.
Yeah. So
Pirelli makes great tires, but their rain tires are super soft and they're made for the rain. And this track is pretty harsh. So if the line does dry out, especially now with 15 laps to go, look for them to start coming in for slicks.
Yeah, you know that Ernie's taking a watchful look in his mirrors right now and trying to use the traffic to get himself an advantage over Boris Said. But Boris, like I said, has almost got a second wind. He was about 5 car lengths behind, but you can see the gap now. It's less than 2 car lengths, if not that, less than 1 at certain times in this track. So Boris looking to get past again for the lead. We've got a race, folks. Al Masood is ahead of both of them. They'll spot into vision any moment now, and here they are. Onto the start-finish straight. Boris Said and Ernie Francis Jr. in another good titanic battle between the pair of them. Into turn 1 they go. Boris Said looking for an opportunity, and the question is now, does he want to lead or does he just want to follow?
Boris is a tactician, and I expect him to want to follow for a while and just let this line dry up, let the race come to him. You know, Boris Said has more experience in all kinds of different conditions, all kinds of different cars than anybody in our field. And he's just having fun watching the champ and see what lines he's hitting.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to see if the tires in the track comes to him.
Well, you can see Ernie sliding too, so he's pushing on to try and break the gap between them and see if he can get away from Boris and give himself some racing room. But Boris is not allowing it. And of course, the track is going to be greasier for Ernie at the moment compared to Boris. In comes the 51.
It's Merck.
Well, looks like there's some sort of problem. They wouldn't have the hood up like that otherwise.
No, but it's not terminal. Anytime your crew members are looking for something that could be the problem, means it's not terminal.
Correct.
I did get word that Kerry Hitt is out of the race, engine failure. So unfortunately for Kerry Hitt, he's going to be out.
So, as we are in the pits.
Now, mathematically, if nothing happens, we're going to finish this race.
Oh, it's Justin Marks missing his mark, and oh, touching the wall, getting the grass, getting the dirt. And, well, that Coca-Cola car has lost its fizz.
I'm sure Daniel Suarez is going to have some words with him. You know, he's Daniel Suarez, team owner in NASCAR. He and Pitbull.
A NASCAR team owner, no less, Justin Marks. And as you say, Daniel Suarez, his driver. Yes, I'm sure he'd be watching on. Daniel, if you're watching, I don't think he will be. He's busy at Bristol right now. Now, Lee Saunders in a good battle here with Gigliotti. Gigliotti just ahead of him in the 28. Lee Saunders in the 84. Chance for Saunders to have a go. These guys racing for position in SGT.
Lee Saunders, our 2020 SGT champion, would like to make it again. But I tell you what, Mike Phillips, Justin Oaks, Lou Gelati, they're giving him a run for his money for this SGT championship.
Michael Phillips leading now in SGT, but this is a good battle for the podium.
No, Mark Brummond is leading in SGT in that BMW, followed by Mike Phillips and then Lou Gelati. But the gap between Lee Saunders, Lou Gelati, and Mike Phillips is only 2 seconds.
There is Mark Brummond. There's your leader in SGT. His best lap of 138.3, and that's pretty impressive. But Michael Phillips, to be fair, did a 137.8. So he's been the fastest lapper anyway.
Yeah. Well, Mark Brummond was hoping for these conditions at grid because he's outclassed in the horsepower, but he's got them in handling. So now that it's drying up, he's just trying to hit his marks and hold his line and hope that they can't get him. But right now, they should be gaining about a half a second a lap on him. I love the headlights shining off of the wet surface. You can really see that there is still, even though it looks like it's drying, there's still not a dry line.
Yeah, and I still don't think it's dry enough to take a risk with 25 minutes to go. But that said, who knows?
I don't know. I think we're going to start to see some of the drivers trying to find the puddles just to keep their tires cool a little bit.
Good point.
David Pinteric coming down this back straight. And yes, we do call it the back straight, but there are some turns and twists in there as we come into 10A, 10B. Oscar Turan around Simon Gregg. Oscar currently, I think, our points leader in the Pro-Am series of the TA series.
Yeah, and Oscar was telling me yesterday he's raced this exact car in Panama, and so he's used to the car, but obviously not used to the tracks here. But his whole family here this weekend, his wife, his mum's here as well, so she can barely watch, she said, but enjoying at least having a weekend with her son.
I got to hang out with him last weekend at Charlotte. What a nice guy. And he did tell me that that's a Rocket Sports Jaguar of Paul Gentilozzi that he's driving reskinned as a Mustang.
That's funny.
And there's John Bauckham in that black Mustang in SGT, and we're used to seeing him in TA. So now he's got to let his TA buddies go by him here. There he is, John Bauckham in that black Mustang, followed by Simon Gregg, followed by Chris Dyson. Chris Dyson's had some bad luck with traffic, but let's see what he can do with only 11 laps to go.
Yes, time now running out, and the conditions not overly improving. A little bit better than they were at the start, obviously, when they were really treacherous, but as you can see, just weaving through now the leaders. Boris said still in contact with Ernie, but Ernie pushing on now in these closing stages.
Ernie slid out a little bit there, and look, he went wide there at turn 5 into the mud a little bit. So Ernie may be losing his tires, and Boris, you know, he is a tactician. He may be seeing that Ernie's losing his tires a little bit and just going to sit there and wait for it.
Meanwhile, down to the bottom of 10 comes plaid number 20.
Merck is back out, so that's good for Merck in the 51 BMW.
Yeah, Chris goes past him. Love this part of the track coming under the bridge there into this almighty fall down towards 11 and 12.
So Chris Dyson's next victim could be Oscar Turan, currently in 5th overall, and the number 3, we were just talking about him from Panama with the Breathless team.
Through on Greg, and as you say, yeah, that's the next man is Oscar Turan, winner last weekend in Charlotte.
And I think I can say now, I think it's safe to say now from a strategy point of view that it was the Breathless team that was rehearsing. They're getting on dry tires down there in the pits when I was down there for both teammates, Ernie Francis Jr. and Oscar Turan. And I'm looking down there at their pits right now, and it doesn't look like they're in a hurry to put on some dry, slick tires.
So no need, and they'll lose the race if they do that. There's no question, because Boris will stay out there if that's the case.
And I think Boris could limp a race car home without tires on it, like Lightning McQueen did in that movie Cars. Look at Ernie, though. He's really getting wide there, and I don't know if he's trying to get water onto his tires or if his car just has lost its handling in the rear end.
Well, he may want to come in for new tires because it looks as though he is slip sliding around and Boris looks planted. So tense times for our leaders. They've been glued together. Boris led early on. Francis got past him with an overtake at this corner here. And from there on in, Boris dropped back to about 6 car lengths behind, but now he's caught right back up again as they go down the back straight.
And you can tell by his line there coming out of 7 that Boris just is able to put the power down sooner. Ernie's just limping it around like you would if you were driving on ice.
Yep. And now they've got more traffic in front of them too, and Boris is either going to decide to have a go, stay where he is and wait.
As that's Tabitha right there, Adam Andretti's wife there on the right. AJ Hendrickson's wife looking, so looks like they're looking at strategy, or they might be watching us. We're watching them watching us, Jonathan.
There you go.
Oh, Ernie sideways there on the curbing. Like we said, when that curbing gets wet, it's like ice out there as he comes up behind Merck at probably the worst place on the track to come up to lap traffic.
And if Boris said wants to win this race, I think this next lap or so could be the opportunity, because the traffic is in front of Ernie. He's slip sliding everywhere he is on every corner. You can see it for yourself, and he's got traffic to deal with too. So that means he might have to go off the line to pass certain cars, like Drummond ahead of him.
This is scary times right now for the Breathless team and Ernie Francis Jr. because his car just doesn't look right, and Boris Said's looks really good right there.
Well, they're trying to get out of his way as he threads through the traffic, and Boris has got held up there by Drummond.
Great pick.
And that's going to help Ernie for... Oh, no, that's not what he needed, and I don't think Drummond saw him. I don't know how. He's got a Dayglow car.
Yep. But didn't look like it did any damage. Mark Drummond's going to go, but that could affect the tires there. That was a pretty tough hit. Boris does not mind contact. He's kind of a full contact racer and has been in his past, but you never know what could have happened to the tires there, hitting some of the carbon fiber on Mark Drummond's BMW.
Well, he's not wasting any time with any of the other traffic. He's trying to scoot by as quickly as he can now, but he's lost precious time, having caught right up to Ernie Francis Jr. as we see Adam Andretti crossing the line again. And in a moment, you'll see Ernie Francis Jr. There he is. And the gap, let's have a look at it officially. Well,
right now, if I'm talking to Ernie and watching us on the app, I'm like, well, Ernie, Boris Said just got angry too, and an angry Boris Said, you're going to see.
Well, we saw it yesterday.
We did, yeah, I did. Front and center. I interviewed him right after he got out of the car. He was angry about qualifying, but now a red mist and angry Boris Said usually is a little bit faster. As we see Ernie almost drifting through that turn.
He really
just can't find the grip, and that is not on purpose, ladies and gentlemen. He's really struggling with that car. Almost
and Boris
like the
knows
back end. Yeah, Boris is just going to sit. Why would Boris try to pass Ernie right now when I think Boris is like, the car's just moving away from Ernie. Ernie's might do it to himself. Well, so wait till about 5 laps left to watch for Boris to try to make a move.
Yeah, I'm going to keep a watch on the actual official time. It's 1.3 seconds when they crossed the line last time, but you can see for yourself, he really is struggling. As soon as he puts the power down, the car drifts from either one side to the other, and it just shows that he's just not getting the traction on those rear wheels. Well, we're in for a cracking finish here in our TA XGT GT race here from Road Atlanta, the Michelin Road Atlanta circuit, and it doesn't disappoint. It never has and never will, I don't think. The weather has played a part. We knew it was coming. They knew it was coming. But still, it makes it for a much more dramatic race. We had one black flag when Stephen Davidson went off, and heavily off at 5. That brought out the black flag, and they stopped on track. We then restarted. Andretti started from the pit lane, but he's still circulating. His wipers getting into a mess when he had a spin on the front straight. And now Ernie Francis Jr. about to overtake Adam Andretti.
Yeah, if my time...
Whoa! Bit of a moment there for Boris as he passed Andretti, but they're both passed cleanly now. Now watch the slide here from Ernie.
If my timing and scoring is correct, there's only 6 drivers on the lead lap currently, which is Ernie Francis Jr., Boris Said, Justin Marks, David Pinteric, Oscar Turan, and starting from the back of the grid, Chris Dyson.
Well, Ernie's been a master at using the traffic so far. The Future Star Racing number 98 of Ernie Francis Jr. And the reason for those colors this year is he's in the scholarship program. He's got the diversity scholarship from Tony Perella that allows him to race in the FR Championship, single-seaters for the first time. And most people would assume that he did single-seaters on the way up. Not the case. In fact, Ernie went pretty much as a kid into Trans Am, has since won 7 titles, 4 in a row, and now looking to continue his charge in.
Unbelievable as we watch Chris Dyson, and you can see the yellow line there. That's his accelerator input. The B is his brake input as we watch Ernie Francis come into one from the booth in his Future Star Racing car with Boris Said right behind him.
Yep, no question about it.
Jonathan's going to have to step out of the booth here real quick, but you can see he's hard on the accelerator there as we watch. There he is in the Future Star Racing TA car, getting a little bit loose right at this right-hander. Watch his car. And then you compare that to Boris Said's car. Boris Said's car just is tracking a little bit more like a slot car, and Ernie's drifting out. You can see a little bit of smoke from his right rear tire there. He's just really losing traction in his Future Star Racing car, TA car, going right now into turn 6. Boris Said is looking in. Like I said, there's 6 laps to go, and Boris Said is looking to make his pass. Just waiting. The tactician of Boris Said, he's got more experience than anybody road racing as he comes up side by side. Jonathan, take the call as we've got Boris Said coming in.
An hour's racing, and this is what we wanted. Boris Said up against Ernie Francis Jr. Side by side racing. But through goes Boris at the perfect time.
The sparks that you're seeing is a little piece of titanium just under the front splitter, and that is just to keep from hitting the carbon fiber. So that is not anything mechanical. It is meant to do so.
I thought that was a special effect Boris had just employed.
It is. He's such a showman. He likes to do some pyrotechnics in his racing.
Well, he's a California kid. So the race is on, no question about it. 15 minutes to go, and don't think for 1 minute that Ernie Francis Jr. in the Future Stars Racing team, Poncho Weaver, watches on nervously. Yes, number 1, you know it, sir. Back to the app.
And if you know Poncho Weaver, so he builds these cars, some of the most amazing cars. Adam Andretti's in one there too, so is Hinkle. But I went to his shop. I thought I was in the wrong place. I called him, I said, Poncho, I'm in a neighborhood. He goes, yeah, my shop's in my basement. And there he is building some of the best race cars in the world, just in his shop in his basement. Just like you would see in Days of Thunder when they build the chassis in their barns. That's what Poncho Weaver's doing. And there they are out there winning.
You've been watching a lot of car movies.
I have, man. Who doesn't?
That's true. So, how will this finish? This is going to be really interesting. Time running out, the track drying out. We are getting a line, but there's no way, I don't think, that anybody's going to come in now. Certainly not at the front. Chris Dyson, Till's trying to plow on. He's 6th at the moment. Pintarek is in 4th at the moment. Oscar Turan, winner at Charlotte, is in 5th. We're on board with Chris Dyson as he plows his way. Nonchalantly, almost, in terms of his demeanor anyway. Belies just how quick he's going. And up the hill he comes. Now, just watch out of the cockpit here. Completely blind over the crest. Then suddenly, the rest of the track comes into view.
We just saw Ernie Francis Jr. dip his left wheels off after the exit at turn 12. So that's a scary moment. Ernie's just, I think right now, if I were the Future Star Racing team, I would tell Ernie to quit fighting Boris and just try to come in 2nd place, because, you know, he's always doing it for the championship.
Good luck with that. And I apologize, it is, of course, the Future Star Racing Ford Mustang of Ernie Francis Jr. But, of course, when we get a glimpse of the team, he's part of the Breathless team. Traditionally, that's his family team. And, of course, he's very much ensconced in that team. But for this year, he's changed over to the Future Star Racing Ford Mustang team to race under that auspices.
Uh-oh.
This is a replay we were looking at of Hinkle. And back with Chris Dyson. Time running out then. 5 laps remaining in this one. And that doesn't sound like much when you've got an hour, but it can be an eternity if you're trying to hold on for a win. Well, it's been a cracking race. It's had everything.
Yeah, it really has. And I like these races in the rain, being a sports car person, to see what everybody's strategy is. And I think, honestly, Boris's strategy is he saw early on that he didn't have the fastest car, so he was going to let the race come to him. And now maybe Ernie kind of went through his tires just a little bit, because I've never seen Ernie have such a loose car in any Trans Am race.
Yeah, and Boris is taking advantage of that. He's taken the gap now to 2 seconds. And if he can maintain that 2 seconds or increase it, then he's going to cruise home. Relatively so. Justin Marks, brilliant job by him, given he spun already off track at one point. He's still in 3rd place.
Yeah, he is. And like we said, He's a really good rain racer, doesn't let anything get to him. So he was able to keep into it, and now he's in 3rd place, followed by David Pinterick in 4th, Oscar Turan 5th, and Chris Dyson. And there's Mark Brummond, currently our SGT leader.
That's right, yeah. A lot of movement in the SGT championship in this race, so it's been a good race actually. We haven't had a lot of chance because there's so much action at the front to concentrate on that battle, but it's been good, really good. Time running out then in our TA race here. We've got the TA2 race coming up at the end of the day, and in between that, 2 cracking single-seater races from our brand new F4 and FR championship. Coming up next is the F4 youngsters, who I'm going to predict should put on a heck of a show in these wet, drying conditions. We're going to sort out the men from the boys and the girls from the ladies, so to speak. Pinterick down the hill again. Good job done by Adam Andretti, given that he was in a right mess at one point, having started the worst possible way in the wall, having to come into the pits, and now circulating very well indeed. So he'll be happy with, at least with the fact that he's got the laps under his belt. As we take a look at 4th overall, David Pinterick. And the interval, 9.6 seconds he has to catch in the 10 minutes. I can't see that happening, personally.
No, that would be really tough. But watch here, on the left side, you can see his accelerator input, the yellow line there, as he's shifting gears, a sequential gearbox. And you can call that a steering wheel, but it's not a full wheel, not a full circle. Now he's on to the brakes.
It's a boomerang.
See that? And he's pitching the gas just a little bit as he comes into 10A, hard left turn. Then he's going to be back on the accelerator here, getting out of 10B, and then the car gets really light under this bridge. So we look at our 3rd place, Justin Marks, coming into turn 1.
Yeah, like I said, he's done a hell of a job to keep that car in one piece, given how much grass tracking he's done.
I think he's going to have a Coke and a smile when he gets out of that car.
It's the real thing, that's for sure. We saw that David Pinterick still circulating in 4th place, some 10 seconds behind this man. And Oscar Turan, another good run, 5th place after a win at Charlotte. Chris Dyson up to 6th, having come from the back, and Andretti doing a heck of a job to get up to 7th. Hamid Al Masood has not had the most eventful race, but he's going to finish in the top 8. That's in the points. As, oh no, Amy Ruman.
No, Lee Saunders.
That's Lee Saunders.
Lee Saunders off at 12. He's got a little bit hairy there. I don't think he hit the wall.
And so that is what you call a snake bite.
But that is going to bring out the dreaded double yellow with only 1 lap to go.
Yeah. And I think we're going to have to finish on it. If he can't get it going, the lights are on, which means he's got power, but it doesn't look as though he can roll it.
There's no way. I don't know.
Right in front of our commentary position.
It's only a local yellow right now up at the bridge.
Yeah, but it's a precarious spot, isn't it?
Sure is.
I wouldn't want to be sat there, would you?
No, but we've got a high talent in race control. They've got a good eye on it. They're throwing a local yellow.
Yep.
So the drivers are going to know that there's something going on.
And you were saying in SVRA, the safer place to be is in the car right now.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily from position, but in terms of safety, you're strapped in a roll cage at least. And getting out of the car, it only needs somebody to touch your car, and it comes hurtling towards you as you get out.
So here comes the leader up 10B, up the hill. He's going to see Lee Saunders here in just a second.
And there's the white flag waved, and we've got a very dramatic end to this race. Ernie Francis Jr. still second, but a long way off. This man, Boris Said, who's going to add another trophy to his ridiculous mantelpiece that you could set a house fire to, because how many trophies has he won over the years? And Ernie, I think, will just admit that the tyres just didn't give him enough grip for the tyre race. They were looking potentially to go to slicks. It didn't come to fruition simply because Boris wouldn't allow it, i.e. Boris was in contention and wouldn't give them the crossover time. This is the last lap. Everybody looking at their apps. Thumbs up from Poncho Weaver. The white flag waves. Lee Saunders is stricken at the edge of the corner. He desperately wants to get to that line.
They're still showing a local yellow. I think this is going to finish to the checkered, which is unbelievable. We love what race control is doing here. Everybody knows that the car is there. They're going to tiptoe through the last turn. to the checker flag, and right now Boris can do that because of the gap that he's created to second place.
Well, that just shows you 30 years David Hoots worked with NASCAR, and he's making these decisions now for us in Trans Am, and it's a great opportunity for race control to show their ability to control a race despite the precarious position that Lee Saunders is in. He's safe in that car, and they know that there is a situation with a yellow flag waving at the top of the hill. Here comes Boris Said, and the Dayglow yellow shines brightly here at Road Atlanta to take the checkered flag, and Ernie Francis Jr. will follow him home, and that is an important result given that Boris Said does not usually take part in all the rounds of the championship. And with Dyson finishing down the road a little bit in 5th place, Ernie Francis Jr. will be taking it to Chris Dyson now in the championship chase.